Growing up, Jeremy Kroc made frequent visits to cemeteries, where he learned to appreciate and celebrate the value of the past.
Every Memorial Day, we'd be out there going cemetery to cemetery, and my Uncle Joe would be driving a truck, and Aunt Bee would have the back end of it filled up with bud vases and fresh peonies. It's an important part of our family, visiting our deceased relatives and keeping their memories alive.
Kroc often spent time at his great-grandparents' home in Ardmore, Missouri. The pride of that small coal mining town was an outfielder named Jimmy Crutchfield.
I asked if he played for the Cardinals, and they said no, and they tried to explain the Negro Leagues to me at that time.
Crutchfield played 15 seasons with 8 different teams in the Negro Leagues. In a segregated America of the early 20th century, the Negro Leagues were the only option for black baseball players, until Jackie Robinson broke Major League Baseball's color barrier in 1947.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Kroc. I'm one of the anesthesia doctors. I'm going to be in there with you today.
So what does Kroc, a pediatric anesthesiologist in Peoria, Illinois, have to do with the Negro Leagues?
You are doing so good.
Back in 2003, he made a discovery while attending a traveling Baseball Hall of Fame exhibit in Chicago.
I was leafing through a book on Negro League history, and Jimmy Crutchfield popped out.
With a little research, Kroc learned that Crutchfield, the ball player from Ardmore, Missouri, was buried nearby in Burr Oak Cemetery, just south of Chicago.
We came out here on a day just about like this with my family, and we looked around trying to find the marker that said Jimmy Crutchfield, and there was none to be found. We ended up getting the groundskeepers out here to verify that this is an unmarked grave.
We were standing right there, and I realized it at the time that we should make this right.
Kroc reached out to the Negro Leagues Committee of the Society of American Baseball Research.
I wrote him a letter and said, I found Jimmy Crutchfield buried in an unmarked grave, and I'd like to raise $400 to put a grave marker on. And here's my address.
We were very excited when we heard about his efforts to put a headstone on Jimmy Crutchfield's grave. Somewhat embarrassed that we did not think of it first. Through our newsletter, I sent out a query to let everyone know that we are accepting donations.
Kroc received a number of donations in the range of $5 and $10, as well as larger contributions from some in the baseball community, including White Sox owner Jerry Reinsdorf, former player and manager Don Zimmer, and former commissioner of Major League Baseball, Fay Vincent.
Dr. Kroc has done a terrific job opening up people's consciousness, and I think it's a very nice, decent thing to do.
In September 2004, recognition finally came to the star from Ardmore.
In putting a marker down on Jimmy Crutchfield's grave, does that complete a cycle?
It completed what we talked about as far as my connection with my family and my connection with Ardmore, but it started the new cycle.
What began as one marker became Kroc's mission. To date, the Negro Leagues Grave Marker Project has commemorated 18 players, including John Donaldson, who is credited with 11 no-hitters, a perfect game, and was the first full-time black talent scout in the majors for the White Sox. High Pockets Trent, a pitcher who won 109 games and was known for his curveball, and third baseman Candy Jim Taylor, one of 4 brothers to play in the Negro Leagues.
The Negro Leagues protected baseball in the black community, and the role was a very important one, because if the black players couldn't play baseball and they played other sports, we wouldn't have had Willie Mays or Henry Aaron.
Without Satchel Paige, there would have been no Bob Gibson. Without Coop Papa Bell, probably never would have heard of Lou Brock and Ricky Henderson. These men really set the stage and set the bar high.
Kroc has plans to honor 3 more Negro League stars later this year, starting with Hall of Fame second baseman Frank Grant, whose grave has been unmarked for 75 years.
The time is always right to do the right thing because these ball players should have some recognition. And they may be gone but not forgotten.
They played in anonymity. I don't want to see them buried forever in anonymity.